You're listening to the Shoot Your Shot podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jen, and we're two boss babes sharing our journey and inspiring you along the way.
I'm a wedding photographer and videographer, and Jen runs a mobile bar business called The Vintage Horse. And today we are talking all about your workflow and setting yourself up for success before busy season hits. And now that we are in busy season, it is September right now. We're going to be talking about how to stay afloat and, don't kill yourself.
Do not die. So I'm really excited about this topic because funny story first. So this past week has been just crazy, like mom life, business life, everything. My kids went back to school, or actually started school. My son started kindergarten, which I did not think was going to affect me as much as it did, but putting him on the bus for the first day, I was like crying. Oh yeah, I was a hot mess. I had to like keep myself distracted the whole day. It was wild, but it was really nice to have kind of like get back into a routine. And then this week I like had all my appointments set up. Everything was like ready. I was ready to like be a boss babe again. And then Mother Nature was like, oh, let me give you a heat wave and take your kids out of school. I'm like, I didn't even know this was a thing. But apparently they don't have like full air condition in all the classrooms. So anywho, but getting into busy season, I had to cancel with Meghan twice and reschedule. And thank you for rescheduling.
No, it's okay.
But I just think like it's funny because I thought about more how in my corporate career, I would never use my kids as an excuse because I felt like I couldn't. And I just love that I can be like fully transparent, unapologetic, and be like, listen. And I had to cancel, not only reschedule with you, like I had actual client appointments, and I had no shame emailing them and being like, listen, I'm really sorry. My kids have a half day of school because of the heat, and I got to pick them up. And I feel like now I feel so comfortable saying that. And I could never say that in corporate. Like corporate, I just had to be like, got to figure it out. Like, got to hire a babysitter, got to do this, got to do that. And like, not that I don't think I need to do that in my running my own business, but I'm just so blessed that I can be flexible, and like have that balance. Whereas when I was in corporate, like I couldn't do that. So I had to like insert that because I just felt like it just like in busy season, like there are going to be pivots no matter what. And you have to just like figure them out. But I just love that I can be unapologetic and be like, got to pick up my kids. Sorry. And it's okay. Like it's okay to be a mom, run a business and do all the freaking things. Yeah. But today we are talking about how to actually run the business in busy season and, just really set yourself up for success. So I'll kind of talk about, like my prep. Like for example, I'm going away this weekend and I know Megan just got to travel a little bit this weekend. So you can kind of tell your setup and things like that. But I did not book any events this weekend. And I had, I think 2 leads that came in. One didn't pan out and the other, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this weekend off. This was like a few months ago, because my September and October are just absolutely wild. We are double booked with both trailers every single Saturday, which is like amazing. But I'm also like, am I going to die? But, this weekend I set myself up. Last week, I reached out to all of my clients. I made sure that their menus were in. I made sure my questionnaire was sent to them of like, what time do we start? What time, this is the time I'll arrive. I like did all the preparation for at least all of September and beginning of October. And I just felt like so set up to be able to go on this little mini vacation. We're just going to Massachusetts. We're going to Cape Cod, but like, I feel more confident and comfortable being able to go because I did that prep, in the beginning. And then, next week I have 2 big events and I'm going to email both of them today and just be like, hey, I'm going to be out of town this weekend. Cause I'm not bringing my computer. I'm not sending emails. I'm fully checking out.
That's good.
Because I just know that I need this in order to debrief for what's about to occur.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were some things that you did, being able to go away last weekend?
Well, September, like you just mentioned, September is when it really strikes. So I went away for Labor Day weekend, like calm before the storm. And as soon as busy season is over in November, I'll probably do the same thing and like de-stress and like leave. But yeah, checking in with everybody before you do something like that, putting on a good out of office message. I know that you do that. I don't do that, but if I'm messaging people before I'm heading out, like the week before, I'll put like a PS at the bottom. If like inquiries, I'm talking back and forth with somebody, or if I'm checking in with a client, I'm like, oh, just checking in with you. I'm going to be gone for the weekend. But I would love to schedule something for like with you as soon as I get back. I'll put like a PS, I'll be back on Tuesday. But I think that's super important, is like thinking about what your week is going to look like when you get back, instead of like coming back on the Monday or the Tuesday and scrambling and being like, oh, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Like for me, I set up a to-do list for the day that I get back, so that I know that I really can check out, and I don't have to think about what's looming over my head for when I get back. I already have thought about it. That's my tip.
I love that you have a to-do list when you get back, because
Yeah.
I feel like that's amazing. And I feel like that sets you up to know, okay, come back Tuesday, open my computer, this is what I have to do.
Yep.
Versus just being like, okay, where do I start? Where do I begin? I love that.
Right, yeah, because when you're in vacation mode, you're not, as soon as you get back, you still kind of feel like you're in vacation
It's
mode.
harder to almost come back from it. Yeah.
So that's what I do to set myself up for it a little bit, is because I'm still thinking about business when I'm leaving. And so if I set up, okay, this is what I'm doing on the day I get back, then that's that. So like I finished a gallery on the Friday that I left, but I didn't have time to export it. And it's a whole process with like uploading your gallery, and it takes a couple hours, and I have to like sort through and like renumber all the images. But anyway, I finished the gallery, but I didn't totally finish exporting that process. So I was like, okay, that's the first thing on my to-do list. But I felt good leaving and knowing like, whew, like the hardest part is over, and I was able to like wrap things up. So that's also another tip, is if you're in the middle of a project, try to finish it or get to a really good stopping point, so that when you get back, you can just pick it right back up again, and you're not in the middle, and you're not like trying to pick up where you left off, but like you're on a fresh page.
I think that's great, because I feel like if you don't, you're going to stress the whole time on vacation and be like, oh my God, I have to come back and do this. I didn't do that. I didn't do this.
Right.
So like if you're setting yourself up to go, then you don't have to stress as much when you're there. You
Right.
can
I felt so
enjoy it.
good.
Oh,
I didn't have to
love
think about
that.
anything. I mean, I got a couple emails from people, and I would put them on my to-do list, but I didn't read them. I would just see like, oh, so-and-so emailed me. Okay, I'll look at that on Monday, and just added it to the list, and was just like, checked out.
So back to out of office really quick. You don't put one on ever?
I don't know how.
Oh my God, girl. Well, this is also coming from my corporate background.
Yeah.
Like we would get like the whip cracked if we didn't have an out of office on, and we were out of office. We also had an assistant that we could be like, oh, reach out to so and so. Like, who am I going to tell? Reach out to my cats? Like, who is going to reach out to?
Yeah.
But now again, back to the difference between corporate and my own business. I tell my clients I'm on vacation with my family.
Yeah.
And I say, we're enjoying, and I'll say something like, we're enjoying the end of summer with a last minute family vacation, and, we'll get back to you on Tuesday. Right. But I think out of offices are important, because you're telling them that you're not going to get back to them for a few days, especially if they email you like Friday at 6.
Right.
I'm not getting back to them till Tuesday. So that whole duration, like, I feel like that would stress me out if I didn't have the out of office being like, hey, just FYI, and it gives them a better understanding. I'm going to teach you.
Do you do that on Gmail or through Honeybook? Because I've tried to do it on Honeybook, but I don't know how to get the out of office to come on with clients that are already in my management system, and then also have it come on for new inquiries.
I do it through Gmail.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super, super easy.
So if you get an email from somebody through Honeybook, does Gmail send an out of office?
I don't know.
That's where I've been tripped up and haven't done it, because I do all of my emails on Honeybook. I don't really use my Gmail.
I don't either, but I think they do, because that's your email address that's associated with Honeybook. So we'll have to look into that. I'm not sure, but I also have, again, back to like auto messages, and I know this is like a topic we're going to talk about, but I have an auto message, which we talked about, that people love. And I feel like that's one thing that sets me up from like, not even competition, just other vendors in general, because being in the industry, and I think coming from a very structured corporate background, I think I stand out a little bit more than other vendors who were just, figuring it out, like we all are. But I had the structure of, okay, this is, you need to respond to someone within 24 hours. It's kind of in my brain that's just what you have to do. But I hear from brides all the time that they're like, my vendor didn't reach out to me for months or weeks or, whatever. And I'm like, oh, really? But again, I totally get that. Like, if you don't have that experience of being like, okay, this is the right thing to do, you don't know any better, So I think that my auto response says, we got your email, which right there is like a huge green flag, because it's like, they know that I received it. They know that we're already in conversation, and they know that I'm going to get back to them shortly. So I think that
Yeah.
that's like a really good, just like first impression. And that's directly through HoneyBook. Like it's just, it comes to every single new inquiry that comes in. When they fill out my intake form, that's the email that they get.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just start right there with the workflow is like from booking your client and like all of the steps we do behind the scenes. So first thing first is your contact form.
Yep.
Workflow, you know, I have my contact form service like through HoneyBook. So when somebody inquires on my website, it goes directly to my client management system. It's not like provided by my website builder or anything like that, which is super nice. And that's where the auto message comes from. It doesn't come from my email. It doesn't come from Wix. It comes from HoneyBook. And you can do that in an automation. I love the little automation section in HoneyBook. Mm-hmm. It's kind of confusing and difficult to learn at first. HoneyBook took me a little bit of time to like figure out how to really do some things, but you can put an automation on a whole bunch of stuff. Like you could do it as soon as they sign a contract, they get something. As soon as they fill out a form, they get something, or, you know, whatever. So that's what we're talking about with the automation, is when somebody reaches out and they submit the contact form that's on our websites, they get a message that's like, hey, we received it. Here are the next steps in the booking process, da-da-da-da-da.
And I think there's probably ways that other, you know, I'm sure Wix has it, you know, whatever you're using. But I think it's just really important to have that initial, like, for example, if you sign up to my newsletter, you get a response that says like, thank you for joining. And it just like gives them that satisfaction of like, okay, because I mean, the internet's wild. You never know if it like got submitted or not. So it's just nice to have that like instant gratification, like Amazon Prime, like that's just the world we live in. So I think it's good to have that in your business too. So do you want to keep going after your intake form, or was that it?
Let's see what's next. So in the workflow, once that message goes through, I try to respond as soon as possible too. So if I'm at my computer, if it's an office day, I'll respond as soon as I see it. But most of the time it's like 24, 48 hours if I'm out and about. Whenever I'm next back in the office. And that's usually the first thing I do in the morning when I'm doing an office day is I'll wake up, have breakfast, do my emails, and then get to editing and the art and, you know, my actual job. But responding, making sure that you have a really nice response. And that's another automation that HoneyBook does, is I have email templates that I've created ahead of time. And when somebody emails me and they're like, oh, I want you to do my wedding and I have this date and this location, I will take the template and like change the name and change the location. And if there's anything specific that I want to tell them that would be different from somebody else, like if, you know, in the form they said something where they were like, oh, and I have a question about this, like I will change things up, but I have a baseline. And that saves so much time. And that's what busy season is all about, is setting yourself up ahead of time so that you can save time for later, because we're so busy with setting up for events and you're doing all this grocery shopping for each event and dropping off the trailer, and that takes time. And with me, I'm doing sneak peeks and finishing galleries and exporting and all of this stuff that you need to not find shortcuts, but find ways to save time, and automations are huge.
100%. It's funny because I was like rushing this morning, getting the kids ready, putting them on the bus, like all of that. And I had to respond. I had 3 inquiries that came in like the past few days, and like I hadn't gotten to them. And I'm with a new inquiry, like I am like on the ball. Like you need, that is your first experience with the customer. Like that should be instant. But anyway, so I was like, I have to do this morning. I was just so exhausted last night. I wanted to do it last night, didn't anyway. But I use my auto, like, so what I do is they respond to my intake form and I have an automated brochure that I send out.
Ooh.
And like, again, I can change how many people, I can change if they need more hours, less hours, whatever it may be. But it's the same thing that's going out to every single customer. You know, my template is the same.
That's a great idea, because I have a guide too, but I manually send it with that message, like the, hey, I got your message, like blah, my template email.
Oh yeah, no,
but
this
I
is
love
together.
that you do it.
Yep. So I pulled the brochure, which is a feature on HoneyBook. I'm sure all the platforms have the same thing, but you know, it says my trailer, my bartender fees, my per person, my water, you know, all the things that I can quickly edit in like 2 seconds. And then I just send my automated email with it. Wow. And I responded to all 4 within, I'm not even kidding, like 6 minutes this morning. And like, that's what I needed to do. And that's how quickly I did it. But I can do that so fast because I've trained myself to be able to do that. When I first started, I was customizing every single proposal. I was customizing every single email. I'm like, why am I doing this? it's the same thing.
A lot of people want the same thing too.
Yeah.
So you don't need to, specifically design something for each and every person if, your services aren't really going to change from person to person.
Yep.
Just change
And
the name.
I think we've talked about this before, but when I first started, I was customizing. So we do a special cocktail, or 2 specialty drinks for each event, plus an open bar. And with those 2 specialty drinks, I now have a menu, but in the beginning, I was calling the client, having a conversation, which was wasting time, saying, oh, do you like vodka? Do you like tequila? Do you like bourbon? And then customizing these drinks every single time, having to create on Canva, going on Pinterest, finding new drinks, where I'm like, this is just, and then talk about like going on vacation. I was like 3 days before being like, oh crap, I never sent them their drinks. The event's in 3 days. Like, what is happening right now? So it was stressing me out so much. So I pivoted. I learned that we need to do something else. Now I have a full menu. Every single client gets it for each season. So spring has one, summer has one, fall, and then holiday has one. And I just send that, and it's easy. They pick the 2, and there's 2 things that benefit from this. My bartenders all know these drinks now.
Yeah, that's huge.
I save in cost because most of the drinks, like, the margaritas are all going to be the same versus like whatever flavor it is. Like we have a blackberry one, we have a watermelon one. And there's been so many times where I've had, because I have 2 trailers now.
Yep.
So both of those events will have a watermelon margarita. So I'm just
easy.
Quadrupling or whatever the same thing. So anyway, find things that really make your business easier in so many ways, but it's going to take trial and error to figure it out.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It took a whole year of me stressing myself out to try to, I thought I was being more personable, but really I was wasting their time and wasting my time. So it's like finding ways to, like, your packages are, pretty much the same versus the hours. Yep. So you could do that template, and that's what you send every single time. It's so much easier.
Yeah. I do sometimes have clients, like somebody that I'm working with right now, they're considering booking and they're talking with a couple of photographers, but they were like, hey, we love everything that you offer. And we like got on the phone and they were like asking me questions, and it was like an interview kind of. But they were like, hey, we like already did the engagement session. They were looking for something like a little bit more specific, and they were like trying to fit in a budget, but I could tell that they really valued my work, and they're trying to get me to do photo and video together. And they're like, but that kind of then goes out of their budget. And so, but I'm like a pretty budget videographer, so it probably will work out. And I think, cross my fingers, but I hope that they book me because I really like them. They sound super sweet. But yeah, with them, like trying to fit into a budget, I was like, okay, well, I send 3 videos, a ceremony, speech, and a highlight video. And I was like, well, I could change the price if you just want the highlight, because that's 2 extra videos that I won't be editing like other people get. So there are some clients where I really do have to sit down and think and like finagle some things to really get the booking of a client that I'm really excited about. Yep. But for the most part, I just, I'm like, this is my list of services, book or don't.
We're going in a spiral because we do, but do you add, so I know like your main focus right now is photography, but video is kind of like coming in. Do you send, like when you send the proposal, do you send, this is my pricing for video too? Like just like almost like throwing it out there? Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you never know, like that, like I do that with, well, I used to do it with my champagne wall, but now I need a new champagne wall because it's too heavy. But they didn't even know I had that as an option.
Right.
But most would pick it because they saw it and they're like, oh, champagne wall. Okay.
Right. That's why I do, because I don't really advertise it that much on Instagram and my social media. I mean, I do a little bit, but like for the most part, I'm posting my photography because that's really what I'm all about. But I'll like give all the information about my photography and the engagement session, the second shooter, like all of these things. And at the bottom, like, lastly, I'm dipping my toes into video, and if you book both, you get a discount, and la la la.
Love that. Yeah.
So
love that. Okay, so do you want to talk about outsourcing? Because
I
have a little bit, but you are a little bit more.
I mean, I don't. It's tricky. I probably should outsource more, and we'll get there in this October, because I have 6 weddings in October over 2 weekends.
What? Wait,
so,
explain this right now. Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah.
Meghan. Oh
So
my
that wasn't very
God.
smart. But I'm really excited, but I go to an annual conference at the end of October every year. And so that's 3-4 days that I can't book sessions or anything. So I don't know, I'm like trying to squeeze people in as much as possible, but I know it's not smart. But I am also like I live at home, and like half of what I've made in my business I've put back into the business with equipment, and now I feel like I'm in a really good spot where, not that I have everything I need, there's still other things that I have my eyes on, but like I feel really solid in the equipment that I have, and I'm like, okay, I'm at a really good stopping point for investments. So now I'm like, all right, let's save, because I want to save as much as possible while I don't have any bills here. So I had like a mental breakdown in like this spring, winter, where I was looking at my finances, because we don't have a ton of income coming in then. It's just like retainer payments for new dates. But I was like, oh my God, I'm going broke, which like I wasn't, but I was like so stressed out about money that I was like, I need to book as much as possible. And so last year, as I was booking stuff for this year, I was like, okay, I have a Saturday and a Sunday. This looks good. I'm only going to do sessions on like a Friday night, like one engagement session on like a Friday night, because that's like prime shooting time too. And for engagement sessions for the next year, like a lot of people are going to want to do it in like September and October. So I was like, I need to keep like a Friday night open for that, because most people can't do like a Tuesday night or something. So anyway, but then then I would have a couple reach out, and here's one example. I had a couple reach out for October 13th, which is a Friday, and they were like, we're going to do it a Halloween theme, and it's going to be really small. We were only looking for like 4 or 5 hours, but then we got on the phone, and then we're talking about like, oh, they want to do video too, and so that's like double the work for me. And so goodness. But we ended up taking, because we got talking, and they sound amazing, and they were like, we're trying to like set everything up like really last minute, we love you, and we're so excited that you're free, and like, so anyway. But then I also have a wedding that Saturday, which is like an 8-hour day, and then that Sunday is like also an 8-hour day, also photo and video. So like that's 3 days out of the week where I won't be able to edit, because I'll be shooting. And I'm going to have to do 2 teaser videos and 3 sneak peeks for photos from those 3 days, which will probably take me another 2 or 3 days. And there you go. That's 6 days out of the 7-day work week of just sneak peeks from that weekend. And before I know it, I'm going to be shooting the next weekend. And so I won't actually get to editing galleries from the weeks before. And that's where I'm going to start outsourcing. Yes. So full cycle, to answer your question, as busy season picks up, I physically probably will not have time to edit as quickly as I do right now. For video, and this is all about the workflow too, is setting up your policies and what you tell your clients and what's in your contract. I tell clients 4 weeks or sooner your photo gallery comes, so your 1 month anniversary. But in my contract, it says 6 weeks, so that if something were to happen and I really can't keep up, I do have like a 2-week buffer there for each client. And then for video, I say 8 weeks or sooner, so I can finish their photo gallery and kind of just be like, I'll do the video later, sort of, because I'll have double the amount of time. So the outsourcing portion of it, I've been working with one of my friends. She's also a photographer. She second shoots with me sometimes, but she doesn't do photography full time, but she loves it and knows what she's doing. So I outsource family photos to her from weddings, because that takes up a lot of time, especially if there's something in the background of every picture. I'm like photoshopping, like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So, and I hate editing those. There's nothing really artsy about it. Like, it doesn't really it's not like really coming from my heart. It's just like a rinse and repeat kind of photo. So I outsourced that to her, and a friend, somebody I know from high school. We like chatted and took some classes together, but that was about it. But I'm going to reach out to him, because I know that he does a lot of video stuff, and that's what he went to college for. And I'm like, maybe he can edit like the ceremony and the speech videos for me, because that's the same kind of thing. It's not artistic. It's just like a documentary. This is what happened video. It's basically raw footage. So that'll save me tons of time. So outsourcing when you need to, but thinking about it ahead of time, because this weekend is when, things really start to pick up for me. But it's not getting like insane, like crying my eyes out until October. So I do have a little bit of time, and I'm going to be reaching out to those people to be like, hey, do you think, hey, but
can you help me so I do not jump off a cliff?
Yeah. What about you?
So I'm the worst outsourcer ever.
So am I.
Social media, I probably will never outsource. It's something I'm really passionate about. I really enjoy doing, and it does not take me a long time. I know that's something a lot of people do outsource on.
Yeah.
But I enjoy that. Bookkeeping, tax season, finances in general, I'm a hot freaking mess. I need to outsource. So I am in like the final stage of finally hiring. She's a bookkeeper / like money management. You have to commit to 3 months, and she kind of like sets you up to be able to know what to do. And I feel like that's what I need. I need like my handheld, because there's no passion there for me at all. Like your family photos, this is me with like numbers.
Yeah. Like you can do it and you will do it, but you're like,
but I won't do it. That's the thing. I literally won't do it. Like it's so bad.
Really?
She was like, do you have QuickBooks? And I was like, I did, but I canceled because I just wait until the end of the year, stress myself out, export all of my, transactions, and then have to find needle thing when I could be. We've talked about this so many times.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I don't know what it is. Like
and that's fine.
I sit down and I like cringe and I'm like, I'll save it for tomorrow. Save it for tomorrow. And then I never do it. So anyway, I finally am like, you know what? I need to invest in myself for mental.
Yep.
And I really want, if I ever, this is never going to happen in the near future, but if I ever do want to sell my business, like I need to show my percentage, like what my profit is, what my gross is, like all these things that again, I hate and don't do, but I feel like I need to, if I ever want to, really, really be successful. So I think that, for me, that's where I don't do well in. So I need to outsource so that I can do better in other areas, because just talking about it right now is giving me hives and I'm stressed.
Oh my gosh. Next topic.
Oh my God. But that's really the one thing that I really outsource. Like
that's an important thing too. That's good.
It really is. And well, I haven't done it yet, so don't tell me it's good until I actually do
it. Almost
there. But other things that, for me, I really can't, like I do all the shopping for the business. Like doesn't take me long. I know what I'm going in for. I despise Restaurant Depot, but I go. I think there are probably other ways that I could outsource differently. But I think I am outsourcing because I'm hiring bartenders to do the other events.
Yeah.
And so I think that those are areas where I always had to be like me, but now I'm allowing, two things. I'm allowing my business to grow. I'm allowing my team to be able to, get more money on their end and, grow with this business with me. And I think that that's really important. But I don't know, like what are other areas to outsource if you need to?
Social media. There's a girl that I think I'm probably going to start working with. Yeah. She and I have been chatting for like years, like in the DMs. And she's like, I love your work. And she's a social media manager for photographers. And she's like an ex-photographer. So she used to work in a studio. And we got on the phone and she like told me all about her background. It sounds really interesting, her past job. She lives in Utah. And she said that she worked with a photography studio where they would have like families come in to get their pictures taken, but it wasn't always in the studio. Sometimes they would take them outside and come back. And then what they would do is they would edit your pictures kind of like a JCPenney sort of thing, where they would like edit your pictures right then and there. They'd be like, okay, come back in an hour and we'll have your gallery ready for you. So she's used to editing really quickly and changing the style from client to client, because at that studio they were able to pick like if they wanted it to be light in an area, if they wanted it to look like this, and they would have like different presets where she would sit down and while they'd be gone for the hour she would like edit it to how they wanted it to be, and they'd come back and here's your gallery, go home.
That's cool.
Crazy. So that's one thing that she offers is photo editing, and then she also does Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, like she does anything you could outsource as a photographer with the photography, she does. I don't think I would ever outsource my photo editing like that. Like the family photos, like I just mentioned, like I feel like, I don't really
bye family.
Yeah, bye. I'm totally fine with outsourcing that. And same with like the ceremony and the speech video. Like I just said, there's not really any art in that. They're not like, that's not what they're booking me for. They're booking me for like a cry your eyes out like film, or like how I crop and edit and do black and white, like all of these different things in my photo gallery. So I don't think I would outsource those two things, but I could outsource the other types of things that, you know, don't have as much art and feeling and me in it. But I'm working with her, and we are going to do Pinterest management first. And this past year we got on the phone, and I was like really considering having her do my Instagram for me. And what I really like about her, and I don't know if this is the same, she's the only person that I've talked to about outsourcing social media, so it's probably standard, but I have no idea. But she was saying that I would give her my login for everything, and she would schedule posts for me, but that I could still, you know, be in it and online, do my own thing. I can make posts if I wanted to. I can post on my stories all the time. Like, it's still me. She just schedules things for you and creates captions for you, and like she has access to my gallery delivery service, so she can pick and choose and, you know, download some pictures and like get them ready to post, so that if I did get swept up and I couldn't post by myself, she already has like 3 days out of the week covered and that kind of thing. So I'm not quite there yet for Instagram, because I agree with you, like I like doing it and it is very me, but something like Pinterest is like, you know, it has, you know, it's my images, and that's something that she can't really change, but there's no like really caption on, there's no message. It's just, it's a search engine. So I'm doing a class with her. This is something new that she's offering. So she does like full social media takeover, like Pinterest, where she, you know, does it totally for you, or like she does like half of it for you and you do half of it. And what she just started doing is like a course kind of thing, where she is going to set me up. So she has access to my photo gallery, and she's going to like schedule some posts for like a week. And then in that week, I'm able to also have access to everything and see what she did like while it was scheduled before it, you know, hit the ball. So I can be like, oh, I see how she did this and this and this. And we can like have a phone call and I can ask her questions and stuff like that. But she gets the ball rolling. She schedules like 30 posts or something on my Pinterest, and I pin ideas and whatever the other one is. I don't even know. See, this is what I need to ask her about. But she like gives me all the information on how to do it and sets me up for it so that I can do it myself.
That's awesome. I think social media is just such, I mean, we talk about it all the time, that it is one of the like number one free ways to get your name out, your business out. And I think it's just so important to have a presence. And if it's not something that you enjoy, there's a lot of people who do enjoy it, and you can outsource that. And
consistency is so important, and that's why that's like the only platform where like I'm really not consistent at all. Like TikTok every so often, same with Instagram every so often, but I don't think a week goes by where I don't post something. But on Pinterest, it's like 1 month I'll post like every day, and then another month will happen and I like totally forget about it. So that's one where like consistency is so huge on Pinterest. And for like future projects that you know, ideas that I have in the back of my mind, were like, oh, I think I might want to do like more elopements and more travel, and like that's where I'm gonna really market on Pinterest. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's exciting. So I want to also briefly talk about like busy season and taking a break. I know we talked about that. I'm traveling this weekend. You traveled last weekend, but something that Megan and I both did when we first started our business is we said that once a month we would not book anything. And I think we pretty much have been pretty good about that. I think June, I did not do that, but, in October, I know you have a conference. But
October's kind of weird, because I don't want to throw you off track, but when I was talking about like, I have like a Saturday, Sunday, or like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like weekends in October, I tried so hard to save a weekend a month, like we agreed on. And I did have one weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with nothing in October. So I had 2 weekends fully booked, 1 weekend free, and then the conference at the end of the month. And then I was like, I have to schedule sessions in this week. There's nothing else I can do, because people are like, oh, I want to shoot with you in October. And it's like, well, if I have weddings every weekend, like, did not set myself up for success there. And so I did book sessions on a Sunday, but I still have the Friday, Saturday open. And then the other day, one of my friends reached out to me, and she was like, can you second shoot for me on Saturday? And so I sent her a voice message, because I was like struggling with it so much, because I am free, but it's like, no. So I messaged her. I was like, I really want to work with you, because we haven't worked together yet, but we've hung out, and like, we get along so well, but we just haven't been able to shoot together yet. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm technically free, but if you struggle to find somebody, like, please let me know, because I am free and I intend to keep it that way. But like, this is the only day, the entire month that I'm gonna take off and like truly like sleep in and read a book and like do nothing. And she was like, it's okay, I understand. I still feel really bad.
No, it's hard because we're people pleasers
Yeah.
also. So at the end of the day, you know, that it takes a lot to be able to say that. But I think you being, you know, strong and keeping to that is like going back to your why. Like,
Yeah.
you know, why did you start this business? To have a balance of life, probably. Like, there's so many different reasons, but you have to keep your promises to yourself.
Yeah.
And like, that was something that I tried to promise myself. And I totally feel guilty that I don't have events this weekend, but I'm not going to feel guilty when I'm on the beach with my family.
Right.
And knowing that my business is still doing well, I'm still getting bookings, it's going to be okay. But I think that, you know, allowing yourself to take a break mentally, physically, because I have a very physical, you know, business, but I think just like allowing yourself to be able to do that is so rewarding. And I think it just shows you that, you know, two things. One, I set myself up with a business that I'm allowed to take a weekend off, and B, like, you know, yes, I don't really quote unquote work events during the week as much. So like weekends are my busy time, but it's okay. Like, I have to remind myself that it's okay and that I'm going to come back and work twice as hard.
Right.
You know, I think that if you just continue to go, you're going to burn yourself out.
Yep. And each season that you work, you get smarter and smarter. And so
100%.
like this, you know, me triple booking weekends is a learning experience, and it's gonna suck, but I am gonna love it because I love what I do. It's just, I need to, you know, be a little bit smart and think about it ahead of time, which I am, of how do I stay afloat and how do I set up my workflow in a good and quick way where I won't sink and I'll swim.
Yeah.
And so outsourcing a little bit and making sure that all my second shooters are in line and meeting with my clients a month in advance and really sticking to that, like making sure that all of the dates and deadlines I set for myself really pan out and I stick to it. That's so important. So setting up your workflow with, you know, a month before, I'm going to reach out to them, and this is how fast I'll deliver things. But I do give myself the buffer in the contract. Like, thinking about all of these policies in your head and really sticking to them and making them reasonable is going to set yourself up for success big time. But what I need to work on, and next year, is not booking insane. So if I'm shooting a wedding on a Friday, Saturday's game, but Sunday's off. Or if I'm shooting a wedding on a Friday and I have then I book one on a Sunday, Saturday's off, no question. Like, boundary.
Yeah. And I also think there's going to be seasons, and this is our season, where, you know, we don't do a lot in the winter. So like, I think we also need to remind ourselves that this is the season where I'm going to really be hustling and working the business. I don't think you need to burn yourself out doing triple weddings, Megan. But I have my first, both weddings, Saturday, October 7th, both weddings are like 150 people. And those are really big because, you know, we have, like, one has a satellite bar. There's so many more logistics that go into it now. And I've never had two big weddings like that in one day. So, but that was my goal. Like, my goal was to do this, and I'm doing it. I'm stressed out about it, but it's going to be fine. Like, it's going to work out.
Just have to take the next day off.
Yeah. The next week off.
Yeah.
But I think that we're manifesting, and we're actually living in our manifestation. You know, like, we wanted to do this. We need to also look at it like, okay, we're doing what we wanted to do, but next season, you know, maybe we up our prices a little bit so that we can balance the two, you know, like maybe, and that's what I did from my first season. Like, I look at my pricing, I had more events technically, but I'm now making more money because I adjusted my pricing to where it made sense for the business, saw my value in things. And now I'm booking, well, I'm not booking less events, but I'm making more doing less, I guess you could say.
Yep.
And I think that that's really important, but this all comes with time and learning and figuring it all out. But that's all about running a business. You have to figure it all out.
Yeah. It takes time.
But I think we can both kind of agree that, you know, if you can do 1 weekend a month or at least one day of the weekend where, because it's hard to, you know, I have a family. Like, it's hard for me
Yeah.
to leave every single weekend and be like, bye kids, sorry, like you're at school all
Right,
week,
right.
can't hang out, got to go to work. So, you know, that is definitely hard. So I think for me, that was like why I was so adamant about the 1 weekend. But I just think in general, like if you have a schedule that really is very weekend based, like you need to give yourself that time.
Take off a
Just-
Wednesday or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
just to be a human.
But in busy season, one day a week is
Yeah.
not realistic. Like
No.
I just said, like I do if I'm busy doing sneak peeks from the weekend, that takes up the whole week, and then I can't even get back to like the final galleries from the week before. Like it kind of gets backed up. But the one weekend, like I'm taking that Saturday off and maybe that Friday too, and no questions asked. And if anybody asks me for it, I'd be like,
See,
no,
I'm proud of you
no.
for saying no, because I know that was really hard.
It is really hard.
Well, it's the same with me. Like I got inquiries after we had already booked this weekend for this weekend, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, can I have the girls do it? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like I don't want to stress. I
Yeah.
want to enjoy. And I think that that's what's so hard as an entrepreneur, because you're like, you're like losing money at the end of the day, and you're like, oh crap, like I'm saying no, like they're going to, all these things spiral. They're going to go to my competition. They're going to use them if they have another event. Like, I don't know about you, but this is what spirals in my head. Like, oh, I just lost that potential customer, but I've learned another customer is going to come along the way. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's
And you
fine.
can hustle the next week.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
another day. It will come.
So in conclusion, you know, take a break when you need to, set up yourself for success, and really find those automations that are going to make your business just run smoothly. You know, technology is so amazing if you use it the right way. Like I know there's so many features in Honeybook and Wix and social media that I'm not using to its full advantage. That's going to be my down season this winter, is to
Same.
really like look into all of that. But I think just having a clear website, having a clear, you know, social media where people can find you and know who you are, what you do, and just really set yourself up for success when you're not working it is like the most important thing.
Being as easily accessible and transparent from the get-go, from the booking process, and then still while you're emailing them. So like all of your links are in your signature, and saying like, oh, if you didn't know that I offer this, just like setting yourself up for success so that you don't have to do as much work per client, but you know, set things up in the off season. Yeah. Do your email templates in the off season so that when busy season hits, you don't have to stress so much, and things are just, you did 3 inquiries this morning in 5 minutes. Like that's crazy. And a year ago you would have been stunned.
Yeah.
To say that.
Yeah. I absolutely wouldn't even have thought.
It takes time.
Yeah, it does. I randomly just thought of a topic for next time, because I was going to briefly talk about, so I did a training the other day, and it was all about like going viral on social media. But I think our next topic should be like, doing trainings yourself, like putting back into your knowledge, like
Educating yourself.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Because I think we never really talk about that.
No.
And I do a lot of that, like
Yeah.
behind the scenes on my own. I do, you know, networking events, classes. But where I was going to get at was, someone had recently posted, you know, if you go to a networking event, make sure your social media is clean, because that's the first place people are going to go to find you.
Right.
And that should be your business in general too. Like your business should always be clear, you know, to the point. Like when people go to my website, I hope they know I'm a mobile bar. It literally says it on the top. I hope they know you're a photographer. But unfortunately, a lot of businesses don't really have that. Like I've looked at people's pages and I'm like, what do you do? Who are you? Like,
Or what's your name?
What's your name? Yeah. Yes. Oh my God.
That bothers me.
It bothers me so much, because I want to address someone by their name. And if I, like, for example, an event planner reached out to me, like sent me a DM, and I'm going back and back and back. And I'm like, what's her name? There's no picture of her. There's no picture of like who she is, what she does. Like there's not her.
I mean, if you're a bigger business, like if you're a photography business and you have like a bunch of associate shooters and you're not like one person, I can kind of see that. Or an event planner that has, like, if it's an event planning company and they have like 5 planners that all work together, I can get that. But like if you're one person and you have a business name, cool, but like you don't say your name anywhere and you're kind of a one-man band, it's like people want to connect with you. They want to know who you are.
I went to her website and there wasn't even like an about me section on her website.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to be like, girlfriend, we got to get, we got
Who
to get
are
this.
you?
Yeah. Who are you? That clients want to know. We
Mhm.
always talk about clients by you.
Yep.
Clients want to know who you are behind the scenes. Like they want to know who you are behind your business.
Yep.
And if your first pin is not a picture of you with who you are, what you do, and your name, you should change that and have it right now. But anyway, I think our next topic should be about education and what you do to keep yourself educated in your business and things like that. So
I can talk about my Pinterest experience.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, we'll do that.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yes, we'll see you next time. Very exciting topic. That sounds so good. Okay.
All right.
Cheers.